The Galactic Wildlife Reserve on Karalon VII was home to some of the most dangerous creatures in the known universe. Yet of them all, none were more feared than the infamous Xaeltheris, a massive alien serpent known for its ferocity, speed, and ability to mimic its prey's pheromones. Standing at over 30 feet long, with translucent, scale-like armor that refracted light in confusing, hypnotic patterns, the Xaeltheris was a near-perfect predator. It had devoured every other predator on the reserve, earning the chilling nickname, the Shadow Snake. No one, human, alien, or droid, dared to get close to it, even through reinforced observation platforms. The reserve staff had instituted a strict no-contact rule around the creature, letting the automated drones deliver its food at a distance and retrieve recordings of its behavior. But the drones could only tell them so much. The Xaeltheris was, to all, an enigma. That was until an 18-year-old human named Milo Turing strolled into the enclosure one fateful afternoon. Milo had grown up on the Wildlife Reserve. His father, Dr. Arthur Turing, was the lead xenobiologist at the reserve, and Milo had spent more time among alien creatures than with other kids his age. By 18, he had a reputation for being curious, sometimes recklessly so. But Milo's curiosity wasn't idle. He had an almost preternatural understanding of alien behavior, an instinct that had allowed him to safely interact with animals others wouldn't dare approach. Today, however, was different. Milo wasn't just curious, he was determined. He'd been told for years about how no one could get close to the Xaeltheris without being attacked. But, for reasons he couldn't explain, Milo felt a pull, a strange urge to approach it. He couldn't shake the feeling, a gut certainty that he had to meet this creature face to face. As he entered the restricted area, a cascade of alarm bells went off on his handheld device, warning him that he was entering a danger zone. "Milo, you're not authorized to be in there," crackled his father's voice through the communicator. "Get out of there now." "Just trust me, Dad," Milo replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I feel like I know this creature." "Milo, this isn't a game. It's killed anyone who's dared to get close. Please just give me a minute." After a moment of silence, his father's voice returned, tense and resigned. "1 minute, Milo. 1 minute, and I'm activating the containment protocols." Milo approached the Xaeltheris enclosure cautiously, his movements slow, calculated. Through the thick, reinforced glass, he could see the serpent coiled in the shadows, its eyes gleaming like molten silver. As he stepped closer, the Xaeltheris lifted its massive head, unblinking as it fixed its gaze upon him. Milo froze, heart pounding. He felt an instinctual urge to back away, but something within him, the same pull that had brought him here, kept him rooted. For a long moment, the serpent seemed to stare into his very soul. Slowly, Milo raised his hand and pressed it gently against the glass. To his astonishment, the Xaeltheris began to uncoil, sliding gracefully closer to him. Its eyes remained fixed on Milo, but there was no aggression in its gaze, only something that felt oddly familiar. When it was just inches from the glass, it stopped, lowering its head in what seemed almost like a gesture of recognition. Milo's mind raced. Could it remember him? As a child, he'd once wandered off while exploring the reserve with his father. He had stumbled upon a small, injured creature, a snake-like alien that seemed harmless at the time. He had felt an inexplicable bond with it, like a quiet understanding had passed between them. Before his father had found him and whisked him away, he had given the little serpent a name, Xaeltheris. Could it be that the small creature he'd saved all those years ago had grown into this terrifying predator? "Milo," his father's voice cut in urgently. "Time's up. I'm activating the containment field." But Milo had already placed his finger against the release button on the enclosure door, ignoring every fiber in his body, screaming at him to stop. A hiss escaped the containment seals as the door slid open, and in an instant, he was face to face with the massive creature. The Xaeltheris slithered forward, its body coiling in loose loops, every muscle tense yet oddly calm. Milo took a slow breath, holding out his hand as he stepped forward, inches away from the giant serpent's face. "Xaeltheris," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Is that really you?" The creature's eyes softened, and in a slow, deliberate movement, it lowered its head until its chin brushed against his outstretched palm. A ripple of relief washed over him, filling him with the unmistakable sensation that, yes, this was indeed ZYX. His father's voice broke through the silence, this time breathless with awe. "Milo, it remembers you." The creature let out a low, musical hum, one that vibrated through Milo's hand and filled the room with a resonant melody. Milo could feel the deep bond they shared, an understanding that transcended words, even species. For a few precious minutes, Milo and ZYX existed in their own world, connected in a way no one could fully comprehend. It was a meeting of kindred spirits, two beings separated by time and evolution, yet bound by a single act of kindness. Finally, ZYX withdrew, its silver eyes lingering on Milo with a gentle reverence before it retreated to the shadows once more. Milo exited the enclosure, his heart pounding with exhilaration and disbelief. Dr. Turing stood just outside, his eyes wide, his mouth open in stunned silence. "Milo, I don't know what to say." "Neither do I," Milo replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I think I found a friend." From that day forward, the Xaeltheris was no longer feared as the shadow snake. Though it remained a dangerous predator, the staff noticed a change in its behavior, a calmness that hadn't been there before. It no longer attacked the observation drones, nor did it thrash in hunger or anger. And whenever Milo came near, it would appear, watching him with a steady gaze, as if recognizing one of its own. Milo and ZYX shared a connection that defied logic, one forged in a fleeting childhood memory and strengthened in an act of unimaginable bravery. It was a reminder to all that even the fiercest creatures could hold on to kindness, and that sometimes the bonds we create echo across the stars, reuniting us in the most unexpected ways.